loud. Okay, we are, and Sue Ann, you're gonna monitor letting people in, right? Okay, great. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining us for the Olive Free Library's special May Day Poetry Reading event. I'm Chrissy Lawler. For those of you I don't know, I'm the library director here at the Olive Free Library. If you've never been to the Olive Free Library, we're located in the Catskill Mountains, right next to the Shokan Reservoir. It's a very beautiful place. You should come visit us. I am sitting in the community room art gallery. You can see there's some art behind me. And we host about 6 exhibits every year, which is a mix of solo and group shows. And during our normal times, we have a very robust programming schedule. So please visit our website and to see what we have going on. I just wanted to thank Jan Lori Goldman, Ruth Dannon, and Sue Ann Sprague for bringing this program to the Olive Free Library. We're very grateful to have such an outstanding lineup of poets with us today. I want to thank the poets for bringing this to our community. It's very exciting, and we are so very thankful for all of you being here today. Just a couple more things. I just want to remind everyone to keep yourself muted so that there's not a lot of background noise when the poets are reading. And like I said, we're recording this. We have the closed captioning on. We will put this on the library's YouTube channel so you can access it there. And I'll send it out, to the poets and to the organizers. So, okay, Jan Lori, it's all you.
Sue Ann, do you want to say anything?
Yes, what I really wanted to say was I wanted to thank Chrissy and the staff of the library for their heroic work and efforts over this past year, completely just connecting the library and keeping people in the community alive, through their hard efforts. Thank you. Chrissy, you're the best.
Nice to see you, Tanasia. Call you out. This is so thrilling. This is, such an exciting reading with amazing poets, and it's May Day. And, as most of you probably know, May Day came from the international labor movement from the 19th century. It's a celebration of spring. It's a celebration of workers. All of you poets are workers, hard workers. And so I feel like we're celebrating work that is in the public, that is in the private, and then gets to be shared. So I'm just thrilled. And I also want to thank Chrissy from the Olive Free Library and her amazing staff, and Sue Ann, who's a board member and poetry champion of the Olive Free Library, and my co-curator, co-host, Ruth Dannon, poet and teacher. Each poet's going to read for about 15 minutes, and I will introduce each of them before they read. So let's get right to it. We're going to start off with Faisal Mohyuddin. He is joining us from Oak Park, Illinois. He's the author of The Displaced Children of Displaced Children out of iWare Publishing, 2018, and the chapbook, The Riddle of Longing, Backbone Press, 2017. He's a recipient of an Illinois Arts Council Literary Award, Prairie Schooner's Edward Stanley Award, and a Gwendolyn Brooks Poetry Prize. He teaches English at Highland Park High School in suburban Chicago and at the School of Professional Studies at Northwestern University. And he also serves as an educator advisor to the global not-for-profit Narrative 4. Welcome, Faisal, and so excited to hear you today.
Thank you so much, Jan Lori. Thank you, Ruth and Sue Ann, for organizing, and Chrissy and the Olive Free Library for having us. Everyone who's here, it is like I think 80 degrees outside in the Chicago area, so everyone thinks I'm out of my mind to be inside, but I'm happy to be here with all of you and my fellow poets. I'm glad to meet all of you for the first time, so thank you for being a part of this as well. So the first poem I'm going to read is called The Holiness of Our Fathers. And so my dad, neither of my parents finished college, and that's always a ticket for a very difficult working life. And this is a poem just about how the sacrifices of my parents have like paved the way for me to live the life that I want. So this is, it's a new poem. It's something I've been working on for the last couple of years, and it's called The Holiness of Our Fathers. And I'm going to read 5 poems if there's time, otherwise just 4. My father left us while I was elsewhere because he'd been unemployed for nearly 15 months and knew, despite whatever reassurances people reflexively offered, his chances of finding decent work as a 58-year-old who had never finished college were much too slim to not look beyond Chicago. The nearly 25 years he'd spent in steel had left him without options and secretly depressed. So when his only brother, who years before had relocated to a region of Oklahoma summered by tourists to try his hand at running a gas station, a venture destined to fail by the second winter, called one day and said a Nissan plant not far from Nashville was hiring short-term contractors to lay the electrical wiring for a new wing. My father understood what he had to do. The hours were from 6 in the morning until 6:30 at night, 7 days a week, a half hour for lunch, 2 15-minute breaks. The hourly wage wasn't considerable, but with the promise of ample overtime and a $30 per diem, the job was too good to pass up. Plus, my uncle, who'd been down there a week already, assured my parents everything was safe and clean, the fellow workers kind or quiet enough. He said he'd already lined up a spot for my father, insisted he just come. It wasn't until I returned jet-lagged from a week spent with college friends in Belgium over the Christmas holidays, I learned my father had barely packed before hitting the road, determined to arrive in time to start work that next morning. My mother, through hot tears, couldn't say when he'd be back. We both understood it was best for him, for us, to be there as long as possible. It was work, and all work is good, especially now. Upstairs in my childhood bedroom, I sat under the covers, a stack of ungraded student essays on my lap, and couldn't stop imagining my father and uncle living together in a cramped Howard Johnson in Smyrna, Tennessee, eating tasteless meals out of a microwave, killing time by reminiscing about their fatherless boyhoods in Pakistan, the looping chatter of headline news always on in the background, the two taking turns in the shower each morning, then sipping tea from styrofoam cups as they drove through the darkness toward the Nissan plant, neither taking a single day to rest, not even when their foreman insisted they take a break for New Year's, not even when their backs ached so badly they needed the other to pull him from bed. Despite how much they missed their wives and children, missed the commotion of their homes, the warm comfort of their own beds, nor how much they silently cherished this time together after having endured for decades their own separate lives. They prayed to God each night for more work the next day, understanding that one day all the wiring would be in place, their lives no longer needed here. And there I sat in the haunting stillness that had taken hold at home, with the sweet dust of handmade truffles still on my fingertips, feeling suddenly disgusted with myself, with my long-held belief that a person should do what they love. What epic ingratitude to have become a teacher You have squandered so many hours of my life writing poems about flowers and the stars, instead of pursuing law or medicine, or whatever it is immigrant parents dream for their children. Anything that would have paid me well enough to call up my father right then and say, "Come home, Daddy, and bring Chacha with you because I'm back and I'll take care of everything." My next poem is a poem about teaching, and I love acrostic poems, and obviously many of you here are teachers or professors, and we're always excited about what our children are going to do. So this is a poem I wrote for my graduating seniors, and it's an acrostic, and it says, "What awaits is made more luminous by the blooming light of youth." Before the first silver thread of dawn appears, before their sleeping eyes horizon against the song-broken stillness of a new day, something beautiful and secret has begun to bloom within the spongy hollows of their bones. If they lie unmoving a minute, without breath, without hunger, they might feel the grinning intensity of an untomorrowed day, the whir of every unlived hour, sugared more by wonder and awe than worry, cocooning them head to toe in sweetness, in the tender, dangling curiosity of human existence. They must phoenix the shadows of yesterday's skin, stretch forth their emptiness, believe even the mothering sun, forever an untouchable thing, is touchable now. That is, if they remember eternity exists only in mirrors, that the delight of rapture originates in the liminal hum between stillness and the dizzying motion of growing up. It's the wild brilliance of youth that's so utterly blinding, that windows the soul, that becomes its own story. Life will write with a certainty their hands can't yet grasp. The next poem is not really related to work. It's just a newer poem, and I've never read it before, so I'm excited to read it. It's called Trespass. In the backyard, when one trips the motion sensor, another raccoon freezes, netted now by the wince of unwanted light, while the first banded tail bouncing dissolves into the blackness. With a clutch of distant thunder in my belly, I realize it's been stationed there for some time, supple coat disheveled by rain, watching me, perhaps wondering what this human, face obscured by weeks of scruff, is doing at this assassin's hour. Perched inside his kitchen's bay window, no mug of herbal tea for comfort, no turn toward a breaking voice saying, "Please just come back to bed." For 2 minutes, in drizzle softened light, we inhabit a hungry solitude, eyes yoked, sharing the faltering orbit of abandonment, me wishing I spoke raccoon, so I could shout through the glass and ask its business, if it's brought any news. Then the guillotine of darkness, my companion snuffed out, me squinting into the rain, still holding fast to what was there. So it is a Ramadan right now is at the month of fasting for Muslims, and every year for the past 4 years, I've been a part of this like poem a day group. And I'm always like really vigilant. I'm gonna write a poem every day, and this year I've been like so worn out that I've written one poem all month. And so this is a poem about, we're on day 17 right now. So this is called This Ramadan. It's been hard to write even a single word this Ramadan. At night, worn thin, I fall into a dreamless sleep. I keep meaning each day to find a moment for poems, for unfolding my spirit from within. How fragile each waking hour, how small. Even now, too deeply plunged in this pre-dawn darkness to seek a proper ending for this poem, I turn back towards sleep, searching instead for one more brittle hour of rest. And my last poem, I think, Ruth, this may be the one you were mentioning. This was actually just got published today, so I'm excited to share this. It's called Allah Castles, and inspired by my son, who is 6 years old now. He's 5 in the poem. Allah Castles are what my son, with a 5-year-old's sweetness, calls every house of worship, is how I can tell he is a traveler too. Oh, how many times I've performed salah in empty churches, whispered Ameen at Mass, made wudu before holding the Torah or the Guru Granth Sahib, nodded reverently at the statue of Ganesh in my best friend's home. God is God is God, is the wisdom my son's already divined, that echoes through the spaciousness of his wonder. When I lie beside him tonight, recite the Ayatul Kursi, then blow its protective blessings over his beaming face, his growing body. I too think of Allah, of his many castles, his singular throne. Thank you so much, everyone.
So beautiful, Faisal. Thank you so much. I didn't realize you would bring us into such a deep and spiritual place. I'm so appreciative that you let us off. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen Lori.
Beautiful. Our next reader is Elizabeth Frost. Her books include All of Us, poems from White Pine Press, Bindle, which she wrote in collaboration with the artist Diane Kornberg. That's out from Ricochet Editions. And The Feminist Avant-Garde in American Poetry from Iowa. She's a professor of English and women's gender and sexuality studies at Fordham University, where she edits the Poets Out Loud Prize book series, Yay, from Fordham Press. Beth, I'm so glad you're here with us today. And I know you're going to share some visuals and read. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really thrilled to be here with everybody. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in on what otherwise is probably a glorious day of sun wherever you are. And I especially want to thank the Olive Free Library, my fellow readers today, and of course, Jen Lori and Ruth for inviting me. I also just want to give a shout out to the communities of writers who have sustained me these past many difficult months. Yeah, my writing group, Urban Park Rangers, my awesome poetry discussion group, and the quote poetry game hosted by my dear friend and fabulous poet Aliki Barnstone, um, whose real-time writing practice has allowed me back into my creative life after many months of exile. So I'm hugely grateful. And also, of course, to my other friends and family, not just through this pandemic, but through a period of chronic pain and uncertainty that's been very challenging and that thankfully is beginning to lift. So I'm going to share all new work today from two different projects, both still in process. And if Jen Lori, if you would post that Word document that I shared with you in the chat, I want to let everyone know that that document contains the text of my reading today. So you can open this and you can follow along in real time if you would like. You can save it if you would like and look at it later. Just please don't share it outside of our event today because all of this work is unpublished and it's still in draft form. But I wanted to provide a way to kind of maximize everyone's experience of the work.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I
No
have
worries.
to go into my email.
Yeah, no worries. So the first four pieces that I'm going to read are prose poems that are from a series in response to living through the pandemic. And for now, these prose paragraphs are not titled and they simply have a date. And actually, sorry, Jen Lori, could you just like post that into the chat rather than sharing it on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So I just want to note that all of these are quite recent. So when you hear March, that's this, this past March. All right, I'm going to plunge in. This is March 20th. March and the ice cream truck's untimely tune. It's 40 degrees, but maybe crocuses are braving the park. Maybe a school bus is idling, its driver spurning kids until the hour is just right. Out there, the concrete is battered from a long freeze, its surface razored with a grapevine of slits. Restless kids with something to prove are towing the cracks, and maybe their sneakered kick deepens a neural groove like a spell. Cars wandering in their habitat, a bird cage lodged in a ground floor window. Each multiverse is entrusted to the one who glides through it. While in here, I'm prone, impatient, in pain, hungry for teaspoons of soot, glass shards in the gutter, sharp voices spilling news. I've heard it's the equinox today. April 10th. The world's a gash, a siren, a gallop pole, and every nurse on earth is blessed. Don't grasp anyone's palm. No singing. We are a danger to each other by virtue of our breath. We can't tell if lips are curling in pleasure. We suffer skin hunger. We study reports, each graph's awful grammar grimmer than the last. We redefine ordeal, then do it all again. The lucky are snug and pale as eyeballs in our homes. Whose job is it to lift a fist, to knock on the neighbor's door, to check who is alive, who has suffered most? Pale, paler, palest. My house is not your house, never was. But the family upstairs is playing fado again, its love beat long and urgent through the ceiling, a prayer, a strange uplifting. April 11th. April and the world's party is swinging because we can't help it. We want the old ballet of bodies. We want to worship in the temple and sing our psalms and spit. Even the echo of touch feels distant now. How are we supposed to cross the street with all those torsos exhaling at the corner? We pine for conversation. Everyone asks everyone the question, have you had it yet? First shot? Second? What will you do when you have? Don't we know by now wishes for cures are never granted? The magnolias are out. Some of us have never seen a sycamore. Will we visit one? Will we rhyme teach with leech? There's talk of another surge, a loss of confidence. We are magnetized by news and airplanes fly full. Someday I will wear an ice blue dress to the wedding.
Mm.
April 21st. The thoroughfare I live on is vibrating again. The cherry pickers aligned like tanks, decibels of steamrollers backing up with their beeps, refusing to dwindle, waiting with no effort through my triple paned windows. And I am back in the first days, the shutdown of this early epicenter, when a field hospital burgeoned in the meadow of Central Park, and the daily math of my city was a death count. I was crazy lucky to be home, to be safe. Outside, my narrow street was a sea of metal assaulting asphalt, a magnitude 6 quake, the same spots dug up, filled, then dug again. Pipes piled up on the cross street one day and sat for months. A concrete booth appeared, pure canvas for droopy eyes and a mouth with the tongue stuck out on one side. On the other, a Black Lives Matter thread calling out injustice. Inside, my long hair grew longer. My fugue state deepened, and I drilled down.
Mm.
March 27th. My friend tells me she's made matzo balls, her sole Passover ritual, and she is content. My eyes savor the image, but when she asks if I observe, I hesitate. Only half my inheritance, I explain. Both my parents were refugees, but only one a Jew, so I knew the rules, but didn't follow. And when I was growing up, theirs was called a quote, mixed marriage. Where did that leave me? Neither saved a scrap of inherited belief. Isn't prayer a patchwork anyway, with no wrong stitch? Each word an unmatched thread, a reach, a singularity. In her kitchen, my friend's fingers kneaded matzah and schmaltz into her own amen. May life always be for a blessing. May I book passage from me to there. Okay, so those are my pandemic poems. Thank you for listening to those. And thank you, Jen Laurie. I am going to share just a couple more, and these are from a collaboration with two dear friends, the writer Catherine Hazard and the visual artist Diane Kornberg, whom I've worked with for more than a decade now. And I just want to explain that this project was born from a museum collection in the San Juan Islands, near where Diane lives in Washington State. And we were all really interested in creating a kind of still life series that involved both images and poems. So Diane took these amazing photos and then she works with them. They're digitally altered. And as she worked on them, they became more abstract. And so as Catherine and I wrote, we also became more invested in kind of mystery and reflection rather than the literal thing. We don't have a title for this series yet, although we are almost done. And so we simply call our collaboration the Object Project, which actually to me says kind of what it is. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen, and I'm going to just share two of these. Some of you will get to see the image. For the benefit of others, I'm going to describe the image in words briefly. And deliberately, these are not named, and the object is like unknown to the reader or viewer. So I'll kind of tell you after what it is. So I will see if I can successfully share the screen. Here it goes. All right. So I hope you're seeing this thing, which I will describe now. Against a black background, a rectangular structure takes up the full field of the image, except for a tiny border. A rusted metallic copper-colored frame apparently surrounds what appears to be metal mesh. And here's the short prose poem. When flames face off with kernels, the starch-damp seeds expand till the tough hulls burst. They birth mushrooms, or better, butterflies, whose unfolded wings melt delicately on the tongue. Two framed rectangles of metal mesh hinged together make a cage to contain each seed's incipience, each explosion held at a distance by a handle not shown, safely extending into the hearth fire's heat. Any takers on what that is? Did you get it? This is an old-time popcorn popper. All right, that's a fun one.
Beautiful.
All right, here's my final one. And here's the description of what some of you are seeing. Against a black background, a metallic nickel-colored form extends vertically, cropped at top and bottom. Holes appear in a regular pattern in the metal. Light hits the lower portion. Cast metal, pitted landscape, holes for breath. Do we see a splint or brace to help one stand or step? A healer's tool? Proof, perhaps, that left alone, cells rejoin, bodies mend. More likely, what we see is battle dress. A greave strapped to a shin's thin flesh to cover the veins rush, guard porous bones. A warning, bright sign of the violence to come. So this is a mystery object, but it is in fact either kind of like a brace, like as if for a cast or splint, or more likely a guard, a sort of a shin guard out of metal. So with that, I pass, and I thank you all for being here.
Thank
And
you.
I will attempt to unshare myself. There we go. Thank you.
We're going to have a lot of pandemic poems. We already have a lot of pandemic poems, and I just thank you so much for creating art from what has been such a hard year. And then those beautiful, beautiful, I guess we don't call them ekphrastic if they're found objects, but I was talking to Miriam, who's on. We were talking earlier today about looking closely, and that's what you've done. So beautiful. Our next poet is Elizabeth Cohen. She's a professor of English and creative writing at the State University of New York at Plattsburgh. Her work has appeared in River Styx, Black Renaissance Noir, Yale Review, Northwest Review, and other literary publications. She's the author of an award-winning memoir and book of short stories, as well as 4 books of poetry, including most recently, The Patron Saint of Cauliflower. Her chapbook, Wonder Electric, will be published by Kelsey Books, Alabaster Leaves, this October. Wonderful. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and honored, and I'm living in a very solitary way right now. So just to have faces looking at me is very exciting. So I'm going to read a couple. I just want to read things I like today that make me happy, but I am going to read a few poems at the end because I am indeed angry. So it's going to be a very bifurcated reading. I'll start by reading some poems about birds. Ruth, Dan, and I both are bird addicts, I guess. And I'm living in a place with the most unusual birds now. There's like all kinds of birds I've never seen before. And of course, quail. I finally figured out why all these streets are called Quail Run. Okay, so I will begin by reading a poem called Red Crested Flicker. Don't be surprised if you scare one up from the ground. They like it down there with the beetles, which they spoon so cleverly with their rounded beaks. You would think they would be ensconced in trees, pecking bark. No, they prefer the ant in the sand, the shiny pebble in the creek. In the east, they go all about in their bright yellow shawls. But head west, and you'll find them all dolled up in lipstick like your mother. When I was little, I called them diaper birdies on account of the bright white flash of their rumps. Emily, who lived on the next street, called them made in Japans because of the way they could seem almost plastic, holding so still, as if posing for some bird photographer, always about to arrive. And the next poem is called Festival of the Cranes. Close your eyes and listen. It is the sound of hard rain, occasional car doors slamming. There's an actual wind, bird wind, that starts up. Take the Rachel Carson tour through the blizzard of sandhills and whoopings, heads raised and long legs drop down like a billion semicolons in action, saying pause. Please observe this clapping, singing festival, wrapping the sky in gray. At the Bosque del Apache National Wildlife Refuge, not far from where my best friend's brother went to prison for a decade, not far from the place our truck broke down, pulled right off its chassis by the weight of a boat in 11th grade. Now her brother is a gardener for a university. The boy who owned that yellow truck sells used cars on 4th Street. The world recovers. Just look at this. The rise and rise and rise of a species like the ground has decided to fly. Not far from heaven, really. If heaven is a place where things lift up by some internal engine and move on with their lives. And the next poem I'm going to read is another bird poem. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. I'm like reading off my computer screen because I'm in a place where there's no books because I came here. All right. This poem is called The Book of Sparrow. In the beginning, there was the sparrow, and sparrow light was tossed over the water, and that became dawn. And sparrow shadow flew over the garden, and this was the beginning of dusk. And sparrow flew all around the world, and this created night and day. Sparrow lit upon a pinnacle of rock, and humans began to burn oil. Sparrow slept in trees, and there was the invention of paper. Soon after arrived the development of genetically altered wheat and invasions of displaced species. Valleys were burning, the ocean became confused. Sparrow lifted up on eddies of wind and rested on the edge of a landfill where worms were plentiful. Famines and wars and droughts and pestilence appeared and vanished, and the seasons became weary and forgot to show up one year. Sparrow opened its wings above to pull across the blankets of dawn and dusk and carried a raft of stars on its back. The glaciers were melting by this time, and pods of whales were throwing themselves upon the shores with great exertion. There was a Perseid shower of sparrows some nights, and mornings a whirling sparrow tornado that rose up above the slag-battered cities and claimed the atmosphere holy. And Sparrow wrote in sparrow hieroglyphics upon the final days, a sparrow prayer. And I'm going to read, hold on one sec. Happiness. Is 7 ticks past 7 when you must rise and you know you must rise to your toast, your books, the toilet bowl plunger, the counter's sponge, the roadside lemonade girls flying the white innocent flags of their breaths, the unfed cats, the unfed child, the whole unfed city of geese, yet you hardly move. Because right then, at 7 past 7, the starlings murmurate, becoming a single moving hand, unwrapping the articulated pink bronchia of the trees. Bluebird. When I was 22 and heartbroken, I got the tattoo. A bluebird over my right breast, I imagined was the place that marked my pain. But later I learned, anatomically, my bruised heart was lower down and on the other side. But that bird didn't care. It has flown with me since over skin and blood, ribs and hips, days of errands, dream-soaked nights. It hovered over the deathbeds of each of my parents, and for 9 months, it glided over the soft, unconnected bones of my daughter's head. Its left wing tilting from the top of my nipple up into the open air. She often asked to see it, and when she did, I slipped down my shirt, my bra, my mother pride. I peeled back my whole life so she could look at mommy's bird, blurred and dipping, still flying across my body toward a place where it will never arrive. And now I think I shall go on. Oh, I want to read a poem. This one more poem about a bird. Well, bird-themed poem. This poem is about my daughter when she was little, had terrible, terrible asthma. And she doesn't anymore, so that's happy. But this poem, I wanted to read it today because I was thinking about that she doesn't cough anymore and she doesn't have asthma. So this poem is called The Cough. Is a migrating bird that returns each season for another round. It rises exalted from her throat, a lark from her lips, a wreck of gulls, bellows from her belly like bullfinches, casts about her like a falcon, then waltzes to sleep in pretty fits, flamboyant as a flamingo. Sometimes it gaggles like up-high geese and even charms cute as a goldfinch or hummingbird. It has traveled many places, gone to camp. It loves the sea. It is the party of jays, the boil of hawks, the deceit of the lapwings, the magpie's gulp. The medicine cabinet of blue and green bottles is sticky with its history, the Jurassic era, the Triassic era, the ice age of her cough. You can listen in the pre-dawn to the pandemonium of its nightingales. It even converses sometimes like a fresh batch of parrots. On occasion, it is as ostentatious as a peacock, and always unkind as a raven. In the end, there were only 2 time zones in the world of my asthmatic child: the cough, the absence of the cough. And now I'm going to go to a few brand new poems I'm going to read. And I'm reading these because I am angry and I cannot escape my anger. So yes, indeed, I am writing political poems because I am furious about George Floyd, Dante Wright, Breonna Taylor, and like hundreds and hundreds of other people being shot by law enforcement. And my friend and I were talking and he said, oh, this has always happened. It's just now there's body cams and we see it. And when I heard that, I felt such despair. And I don't know what to do with my despair or anger. So I said, Elizabeth, you have to write about this, even though it's cliche to write a political poem in response, like feels a little bit derivative maybe, but I'm going to read these anyway, because I just want to release these thoughts. And these are thoughts about where I stand, white person me. So this poem is called Whiteness. Every morning you'll wake up wearing it. Every night you'll lie down, still clothed in its promises. It is on you always, your birthright to a bright life of choices. All the nice places will open their doors and you won't even notice, because this is just the way it goes for you. There was never a lunch counter that would turn you away, or a bus driver that would suggest you move along to the back, or a waitress who forgets to take your order. No cop will ever shoot your child in the chest, mistaking a gun for a taser. This skin of yours, your white, bright wrapping, is your get out of jail free card, your 4 less time served card. It's the man who holds the door card, the cabs that always stop card, the jobs you'll get and complain about, the college entrance exam crafted just for you and what you know, your passport out of anywhere and to anywhere else, your tickets to the good clubs, your place at the front of the line, your please have a sample, the library attendant who lets you stay past closing, the piano teacher who introduces you first at the recital. This whiteness you wear is your skin in the game. It may get you an extra week with the landlord, an extra hour in the pool at the Y just because you asked. Your kids will get free ice cream cones one Sunday because the woman at the counter just liked them. Such nice kids, she will say, smiling and smiling at the rising moons of their heads as they stand on tippy toe to read all the flavors. This next poem is called There's Nothing to Say About Your Whiteness That Will Surprise Anyone. It comes with a fruit basket and a dozen gift certificates to museums and opera. It comes with a cool leather jacket and a pile of ripped jeans that make you look the rebel instead of just poor. It comes with scholarships to summer music camp, art school, the writing workshop on the island, pottery classes and stained glass. It comes with freebies, chicken fried steak at the American Legion on Sundays, second drink free on Mondays at the Old North Ender, half off at the country club if you join by April, where everybody is as white as you. And yes, it comes with luck. Luck you are free to squander because there will be more luck in your white luck bank to replace any lost luck. There will be vacations on cruise ships and snorkel trips, backpacking adventures, whitewater rafting, hang gliding adventures in the rainforest with ayahuasca and the tender meat of freshly killed jaguar. It comes with meditation, Pilates, and water aerobics in a dozen ways to clear your bad aura, like weekends in remote Tibetan villages with yoga, so much yoga, Ashtanga, Hatha, Bikram, Kundalini, Vinyasa. Comes with your very own yoga island with very nice yoga mats and yoga mentors, yoga all day and night if you want it, if you so desire. This is not to say people who are not white cannot and do not do these things, but whiteness brings in offers to you every day. They stack, they pile, they amass the whole world on its knees or in the Vrikshashana pose before you, beckoning. And I think I'll stop there. Yeah, I think I'll stop there.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Well, at the beginning of your reading, I feel like my whole head is surrounded by birds, like every kind of bird imaginable and all the things that we call different birds. It's just a fantastic. Thank you so much. I hope
Thank
that's
you.
doing the feedback. Let's take a breath. For our final poet, we are very fortunate to have Mahogany Browne with us. Mahogany Browne is in Brooklyn, New York. She's a writer, organizer, and educator. She's the executive director of the Bowery Poetry Club, an artistic director of Urban Word New York City, and poetry coordinator at St. Francis College. She has a lot of jobs. She has received fellowships from Agnes Gund, Air Serenbe, Cave Canem, Poets House, Mellon Research, and Rauschenberg. She's the author of Chlorine Sky, Woke, A Young Poet's Call to Justice, Woke Baby, and Black Girl Magic. Just so thrilled to have you with us today, Mahogany. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with this amazing grouping of poets, and I'm going to share about 4 pieces, but one is a bit long. I've been working on my breath. I caught COVID-19 literally a year and a month ago, and the one thing that I've promised myself is sweet ease now that I've tackled it. I did receive my vaccine, the double shot Moderna. And while that was amazing, there was a day where I was like, oh, this is like I'm sick all over again. This is crazy. But what was amazing about it after the fact is that I'm able to see my mother for the first time in almost a full year. And so yeah, sweet ease. The poems, they'll be long or not, who knows? But thank you for being here. Happy May Day. Golden Shovel in B flat. If you know anything about the Golden Shovel, it's about taking a stanza of your choosing and creating a poem using the lines, each of the ending words of that stanza ends your line. All right. And I used Amiri Baraka. So if you want to look it up, feel free. Golden Shovel in B flat. In this country, yes, I am a hymnal. No, an incantation. Can you see my hands together? Pray. I don't come for your stone throne, all blood murmur, murmur, shining beneath the day. This week I found a memory, and someone somewhere whispered, God, lift these rocks. Lift this light heart, won't you see me fit enough to come back home and be some merciful grace? But if, only if my bones, my me, no I, yes, I can't be called anything remarkable. Call me fire and brimstone and haunts and trigger happy, or call 911. Emergency, emergency. Is this the operator or is this the devil? Call me husk, mountain, molehill, beacon, be vindictive being. I'll be all of it, every name here and near home at the intersection of liberation and the scream tear throat cavern of a holy knowing, a final farewell, fear die. I return to kiss your eyes, closed, this last minute. And if you're wondering what it was made of, the words that we had to configure in there configure into the poem from Amiri Baraka is, I can pray all day and God won't come, but I call 911, the devil, he'll be here in a minute. Shout out to Amiri Baraka for knowing, right? Always knowing. I was asked by Bradford Literature Festival to think about what the world will look like as we're coming back. And I think the theme was when it is over. And I don't know if it will ever be over, but in the future, in the near future, Afro future, Octavia Butler future, I think this is what I saw. Sometimes death is delayed. A dream can die if you lie long enough for it to be unclaimed. Undo it like purse strings or fear against the lips. And sometimes death is not the same as dead. If you want to see the sunrise, let's talk about our evolution over bread and butter, sweet oat milk and burned candles. If you want to see the sunset, look out the window. Can you see the smoldering bridge? The undoing becomes a verb. It all burns, you know, like clean steel and prayers, newspapers, gossip rags, and old paycheck stubs. It all burns, you know, down, down, down until the scorch smells like ghost peppers. Stew tastes good. The hood tastes good too. Today, it's been a full year of masked living. There are babies born before the vaccination ever took flight, and my blood fears will happen. And my blood fears what will happen if I risk my life again. The trees, the trees, the trees are standing as firm as they please. No noose, no noose, no swing low blues to burden the roots. Who believes the big house wasn't designed to burn? Where did our tax dollars really go? 15 minutes and the first dose of tomorrow spreads hot kisses inside my veins. My mama ain't survived for me to keep surviving. I tap my stomach. I sing beneath my breath like a swamp bubble reaching for air. Thrive, thrive, thrive. And whatever happened to the babies? The ones that walked out of the womb vote ready. Whatever happened to the politicians? Who removed them from office? Ooh, is that a breeze? Eyes sky side, eyes bright flint. Eyes are prizes and they belong to our kin. The babies are all right. They became voters and burned down every flag that haunted the people. The babies are all right. They pushed down fences and turned the wreck steel into jungle gyms. Dandelion green billows a kiss to the air. The babies are all right. Black and brown and able-minded leaders. They got a sweet tooth for justice and liberation. They smell like cinnamon and Nag Champa. They dream of reparations. They dream green and lush fields filled with the sound of a million lost to the virus. But can you hear the song? It's a good one. It's a remake. You've been here before, I promise. Look at the babies. They're all policymakers now. They became the global citizens we didn't have the courage to be. And that breeze is their voice in unison. That breeze is their voice in union. That breeze is a sway, just a midday sway, calling you safely back home. Thank you. So I've been working on like mantras and rituals and things to remember. So here's one commissioned by this really amazing project in Philadelphia called Spirits 215. And they do meditation and yoga practices for the people, all free in the middle of Philadelphia. You can just go out there and they'll have a yoga mat already wiped down and ready for you. And just reminding you how to breathe, which we think we know how to breathe, and then you like go to a meditation class and you realize, oh, I've just been holding my breath. This whole time is me like little baby breaths that I'm holding until I get somewhere where I feel safer. So thinking about what it means to breathe and meditate, these last two pieces will be in that vein. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to do the breathing one, then I'm going to do a cento, which is a cento for survival, and then I'll close with the ritual, which is an extension of this. I know who I am because I believe it. The breath in my chest, insistent in its choice. The skin that I'm in, the bones and blood and veins it carries like a promise. Have you ever witnessed the ocean moving with so much gust and life? Have you ever witnessed the river Still waters bubbling, the rebirth of school. Have you witnessed your body, its own country of water, moving against the tide of a world so heartbreaking? It's forgotten its own voice. Be still, friend. Be still. Be kind to yourself in this gift of stillness. I know who I am because I believe it. I know who I believe in threes we will come. A drip of water moving against a boulder. Water slow and steady can turn rock into a pebble, like anxiety, like self-doubt, smaller still until gone. Let your love for yourself be the water, be the rise, be the mist. Let you be. I know who I am because I believe it. I believe I am my mother's daughter. I believe I am my grandmother's prayers. I believe I am my great-grandmother's backbone revealed. I am because I believe so. I am because a woman believed in me. What a continent I became. What a country of water I be. I flow and fluid and rise and ebb, and I believe in me. I am not wrong. Huh? June Jordan said this. I am not wrong. Wrong is not my name. I am not wrong. I am wronged in this skin I've reclaimed from this trap of the country's tourniquet, only to find the sweet solace is a riverbed. Its mud beckons me closer to its silt. Small fish and forgotten glass unearth themselves like baby teeth. Only one can cut into the flesh purposely. Only one does not know what it is capable of. I believe in the air as much as I believe in the fire. I believe in the fire as much as the water consumes. I believe in a higher source, energetic and wise. I believe in my ability to thrive. This body is a good thing. Turning 2 miles walked over a bridge into a family's meal, creating poems that become cashier's checks, dentist bills, and rent. I've got 3 holes in my teeth and a nation that pretends I didn't almost die for it to survive. I am here. I said, I am here. I am still here. I am still here. And like the ocean full of salt and shells full of ship remnants and noble ones, I bleed and the sand grieves. I be because someone survived for me to be here today, breathing this almost air, marching for cleaner belongings. My front seat beneath the deadening stars is still a seat. It's still a ground. It's still a house that I can pronounce my name, my given name, my taken name to wrong, and then right amongst the forgotten names, the taken and the ignored. But today, there are no tombstones. Today, there is no true death, only life, only a song of the living. Maybe even a belief system with water as its minister. I am the water. I dive into my own currents. I dress my dreams in the satin breath of my ancestors. I know who I am. I know who I am because I believe it. Thank you. All right, y'all. So look, it's like 5 o'clock here, which means I had my little happy hour drink. So I hope my voice isn't going anywhere because I feel great. All right. Cento for Survival is, and we know Cento is a poem, it's a found poem made up of lines that move you from poems that already exist, from worlds that have already been put into the constellation for us to gather ourselves. So these lines, this poem includes the work of Donica Kelly, Terrence Hayes, Kristen O'Keefe Aptowitz, Cornelius Eady, Gary Jackson, Elizabeth Alexander, Paul Lawrence Dunbar, Ching E. Chen, Charlene Fix, Rahiv Mohabir, Selena Sue, C.A. Conrad, Marcus Wicker, Dawn Lundy Martin, Javier Zamora, Camila Aisha Moon, Tafia Fazula, William Carlos William, John Olivares Espinosa, Phyllis Levine, Sandra Maria Estevez, Jose Olivares, and June Jordan. Cento for survival. I am taken with the hot animal of my skin. In a layer of mischief so traumatized, trauma delighted me. What happened to that hungry? The problem here is that this isn't pretty. Somewhere there is a man with a gun. When I picture the good old days, I am grinning. Then lift we up our songs of praise to heat a sister in my dreams. I am always hovering. A black fluke silhouetted against the Manhattan skyline, reincarnated tenement apartments become dance spaces. I wish for no new way to feel alone again. Please don't worry too much about me. I left a window cracked wide, view enough to see myself. The rescuers are never prepared. I could bore you with the sunset, the way the water tasted after so many days without it. As we remember the most massive flares among us detonate inside. Tiny supernova in our arms. Look at the lines Allah etched on your own poem. You have a big brain and a good heart. Still, red cradle of the night for dark half circles, amber infusion soon to be seeping. Pour, 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 and then weave us a red passion. Weave us a song of yellow and gold and life itself. I know we exist because of what we make. And these poems are the things that I do in the dark. Word. I love reading centos because if we're honest about the fact that we're really all just a walking found poem, you know what I mean? Like, do you know how many times I'm having conversations and I literally have just used Nene Leakes from Real Housewives of Atlanta in a regular conversation? James Baldwin flows. June Jordan flows. Meg Thee Stallion flows. I'm a walking found poem, and I am so thankful to be here today. So my final piece is a meditation for us, all of us. Wherever you are, if you can place both of your heels firmly on the ground. If you have really good knees, as I said the day before, if you have good knees and you can bend those knees, shout out to you. I can't do it. But if you can do crisscross applesauce, go for it. Otherwise, both heels firm on the ground, hands open up, palms, palm wide up towards the sky, towards the roof. Eyes closed, deep breath in through your nose. Hold your breath and think of all the good in you. Think of all the good that you've created. Think of all the good that you're ready for tomorrow, and exhale through your mouth. Push out all the doubt, all the discouragement, all of the anxiety. If you can let it go, let it be. One more deep breath in through your nose. And we're gonna hold it in our chest for a little bit longer. Put your hand on top of your sternum. You can feel that pulsating. That is you here being right now. What a day, May Day, for us to be here ready to go back out and fight. Exhale. All the doubt, all the sludge, all the things that keep us from being buoyant, let it go. And this piece I wrote because I did not know that Black girls like me deserve to have a mantra, a meditation. How do I prepare myself to go into the world? I would put on makeup, I would put on my head wrap, just some kind of armor to prepare me for the day. And I feel like we do that still, even more so now with COVID-19. We're putting on our mask and our gloves. We're making sure we're prepared. So how do you get home safely? I want you to think about that in your head to yourself. When I prepare myself to go outside, how do I make sure I get home safely? And that is the way in which we will walk through this meditation. It's all about you being safe and you returning to you. Today you will, today you choose. Today is yours. Today is only today. Tomorrow ain't here yet, so slow down. Slow down. Breathe softly, slowly. Breathe for the homies that ain't here. Breathe for the homies that is. Breathe for your own good skin, your smile, your you. Come back, come back, come back to yourself. Look at your cheekbones. Look at the loft of your eyebrows. You so worthy. You so heavy in your weight of yes. You so necessary. You're so fly. You wet the water. You cool the brow. You heat the skillet. You the sunset and the sustenance. You keep them chasing the sparks you leave. Today you will. And today you choose. And today is yours. Yes, today is only today. Because tomorrow ain't here yet, so slow down. Slow down. Breathe softly, slowly. Breathe for the homies that ain't here. Breathe for the kin that is. Breathe for your own good skin, your smile, your you. Come back, come back, come back to yourself. Miraculous stargaze, most fortunate sky beam, beyond brilliant, be your resilience. But you knew that already. Who told you any different? You tell them today you will. And today you choose. And today is yours. Yes, today is only today because tomorrow ain't here yet. So slow down. Slow down. Breathe softly. Breathe slowly. Breathe for the homies that ain't here. Breathe for the kin that is. Breathe for your own good skin, your smile, your tribe, your you. Come back, come back, come back to yourself. Anything that don't heighten your stride, leave it today. Anything that don't propel your wingspan forward, leave it today. Whoever told you you wasn't strong, whoever told you you wasn't fly, whoever told you you wasn't brilliant, whoever told you you wasn't beautiful is a lie. Deep breath in, exhale doubt. Thank you so much. Good travels.
That meditation poem rocks.
Mahogany, how you?
Fabulous.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mahogany. Thanks, everyone.
All four of you today. I mean, as Elizabeth said, we have a lot of books to buy. We have a lot of poetry to support. We have a lot of words to hold in our hearts, in our bodies. Just so beautiful. Thank you, Fossil and Elizabeth and Mahogany. I know Ruth wants to say something. I just wanted to thank everybody for being here today. Ruth Danon.
Yes. First of all, that was just an extraordinary reading. And I thank everyone for their wonderful, wonderful words. I've been thinking about Leonard Cohen talking about the workers in song. And, it's May Day. And the word poem comes from poesis, which means maker. And so you are all makers in song. And we're so grateful for the songs and for the making and for the wisdom and the beauty and the power in your words. We're just very, very grateful to have had you here and to have heard your words. And be well and stay well. And thank you. That's all I have to say.
Take it with you today, folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you all to all our poets and to everyone who took the time on this beautiful day to attend this magical, magical reading. Thank you again. Hold these words in your heart and your heads.
I don't want to leave you. Bye.
It's beautiful. So grateful. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.